like to introduce Gary from the United States, who takes LDN. Thank you for joining me, Gary.
Sure.
Could you tell us for what condition you take LDN for?
Well, initially, I had a tumor show up, a suspected tumor show up in my lung. I have emphysema with only 18% lung capacity. The tumor showed up initially on X-ray. It was confirmed with a CT scan, and then I went back and had a PET scan to more confirm that it was in fact cancer. My doctor initially wanted me to go to Vanderbilt Hospital to start getting treatment to pursue it as cancer. It was kind of tricky because my lungs are so damaged. They couldn't do a traditional biopsy. But I did not want to do chemo or anything like that. And I started researching alternative treatments. Mm-hmm. And I bought a book called Honest Medicine. And there's a chapter in there about LDN. So I got hold of a prescription for LDN, and along with some diet changes at the time, started taking it. And I went back for a follow-up, a 90-day follow-up on a CAT scan to see the progression of the tumor, and it was gone.
Wow.
And yeah, and the doctor couldn't believe it, that it was gone. But anyway, beyond that, I noticed when I started taking LDN, the very first night or first morning I woke up, I take it at night, I just had an excess amount of energy. I actually felt like going out and cleaning up my garage. So it really, like I say, boosted my energy level. And I also had, at the time, I had psoriasis on both elbows, and I noticed my psoriasis went totally away. And so, I mean, as far as my shape, I work full-time. I still do chores around the house. I go shopping. I do not use oxygen, even though I only have an 18% lung capacity. And for my prognosis, I actually have a pretty active lifestyle. I don't get sick anymore. People all around me catch colds and the flu and everything during the wintertime, and I haven't been sick in a while, which I attribute to the elevated endorphins from the LDN. But I just, I think it's kind of a miracle drug and what it allows your body to do, and I tell everybody about it that I can.
Well, that is truly amazing. When you say you altered your diet, what were you doing with that?
I'm sorry?
When you said you changed your diet, what were you eating?
Well, when I started researching, when they said I had a cancerous tumor, I started researching alternative treatments, and I started learning about anti-angiogenesis properties of certain foods, which basically strangle the blood supply for tumors, anything with an anti-angiogenesis property. And so I targeted different fruits like strawberries, raw strawberries, which have a strong property along those lines. And I started really just eating a lot of vegetables and fruits that had anti-angiogenesis properties. Plus, I cut out almost all the sugar and high fructose corn syrup out of my diet that I could, since it was my understanding that pretty much acts like fertilizer for cancer. And I also took some different spices that had anti-inflammatory properties like turmeric. But it was all, my diet changes were all targeted around trying to starve any cancer in my body.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've done remarkably well, haven't you? So how long ago was this, Gary?
I think the initial tumor showed up in December 2012, I think. Mm-hmm. And by the time I went back and it was all gone was May of 2013. That
is an unbelievable, amazing story, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people can't believe it. And, and I've also have another condition called alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, which really is what was the catalyst for my emphysema. It's an enzyme deficiency that basically makes your lungs self-destruct. And pretty much anybody who has emphysema in their 40s, it comes from alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. But and I get that replaced weekly. But I told my nurse who administers it about this, and she also gives people infusions for MS drugs, and she's been sharing it. And she said a lot of her patients that have tried it have really had success too. One guy in particular was wheelchair bound, and he had MS for over 20 years, and he started taking LDN, and he actually started doing physical therapy, and he said it was the first time in his life he ever actually physically felt like doing physical therapy.
That's amazing. And this is how it works, isn't it? Somebody has a really good result, people notice, and then they tell other people that LDN could potentially help, and it's fanning the flames, isn't it? Getting the word out there.
Right. And another thing, I found was I had to educate the doctor in order to give me the LDN. I basically got every piece of research and testimony I could get and printed them out in binders, and had to go and convince a doctor to actually give me the LDN. I first had a nurse practitioner give it to me until her supervising doctor found out that she was writing me the prescription, and he made her stop. And so then I went to find another physician who's in private practice. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a key to finding a physician who will write the prescription is usually ones that are in private practice have more leeway to do that. Any doctor inside a hospital or a group, a lot of times those groups regulate what they can do. And since LDN, in this instance, is being used for off-label, at least here in the United States, that there's some red tape with that. So you definitely have to educate the doctor in order to get them to write the prescription.
Yeah. What can I say? Thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
Oh, you're welcome.